Oh, I can't believe it. You don't understand. She made the people say yeah.
And we begin at 10 with breaking news. A Grammy Award nominee has just posted bail on criminal threat charges. Criminal threat charges. Chris Brown is accused of assault and battery. Neither he nor his girlfriend, singer Rihanna, showed up at tonight's award show. KCAL9's Soraya Fidel live now at the Mid-Wilshire LAPD station with the breaking details. Soraya?
And Juan, just a few hours ago, we saw Chris Brown drive off with his attorneys out here minutes after he posted bail. According to sources, the alleged fight broke out inside a Lamborghini that was located at Hancock Park.
Exact charge was criminal threats, and it's going to be investigated as a criminal threat. Exact charge was criminal threats, and it's going to be investigated as a criminal threat.
Exact charge was criminal threats, and it's going to be investigated as a criminal threat.
It's an investigation. There may be domestic violence charges added later, but that will be up to the district attorney's office.
Sources tell KCAL9 and CBS2 Brown's girlfriend, 20-year-old pop star Rihanna, is the woman involved in the alleged domestic violence assault case. According to sources, 911 calls reported a woman screaming in this Hancock neighborhood shortly after midnight. Sources say Brown fled the scene on foot, and police found facial contusions and bite marks on the victim's arm. Facial contusions and bite marks on the victim's arm. And police found facial contusions and bite marks on the victim's arm.
And police found facial contusions and bite marks on the victim's arm.
Exact charge was criminal threats, and it's going to be investigated as a criminal threat.
Exact charge was criminal threats, and it's going to be investigated as a criminal threat.
It's an investigation. There may be domestic violence charges added later, but that will be up to the district attorney's office.
For the latest on Chris Brown and Rihanna, we have Harvey Levin joining us now, and more details seem to be coming out about this. But one of the most interesting things, Harvey, is her injuries being described as horrific. What is that all about? What is horrific?
Well, we now know exactly what it was going on in terms of the injuries, and we put it up last night that law enforcement, and this is 100% here, they are describing the injuries as horrific, and I can be specific. She has two huge contusions on either side of her face, swelling, bruising, a busted lip, a bloody nose. She had bite marks on several of her fingers and her arm. She told police that Chris Brown struck her with his fists, and he has had some training in Taekwondo. There were photographs taken. The police took photographs before she left the scene. These photographs are extremely graphic. And what I am told, and the way it's put to me, is it at this point doesn't really matter whether Rihanna cooperates or not. I'm not suggesting that she may not. I'm just saying it almost doesn't matter. These pictures are so powerful that it looks as if there's no choice but to charge Chris Brown.
She's been cooperating so far, from what I've heard, and she didn't call 911. Someone heard her screaming?
Yeah, she was not the one to call. It was somebody in the area who called. I am told it is quite the call. This one will not be released because LAPD has a policy of not releasing these, but it is, it's an interesting call from what I'm told.
What do you mean?
I haven't really even said this on the site, but is it just us? Should I whisper this?
Yes, no one
please.
watches this show. Please, go ahead.
The person who called, it sounds like it's right out of Central Casting. The person who called, it sounds like it's right out of Central Casting. The person who called, it sounds like it's right out of Central Casting.
The person who called, it sounds like it's right out of Central Casting.
She was not the one to call. She was not the one to call.
She was not the one to call.
She was not the one to call. She was not the one to call.
She was not the one to call.
Well, there's still a lot of unanswered questions about Brown's arrest, including was there a real physical attack? And if so, who was the victim?
Authorities are investigating what took place early Sunday in the ritzy Hancock Park neighborhood shortly after Brown and longtime girlfriend Rihanna were seen happily sitting together at the annual pre-Grammy party hosted by Clive Davis. The couple reportedly got into a strong argument. That argument reportedly turned ugly when Brown and the woman got out of the car. Police say they got a 911 call from an unidentified woman claiming Brown assaulted her. A passerby called police who said the woman had visible injuries.
A passerby called police who said the woman had visible injuries.
Police say they got a 911 call from an unidentified woman
claiming Brown assaulted her.
Los Angeles police arrested Brown on suspicion of making a criminal threat. Police say a criminal threat charge indicates a person makes a threat and has the capacity to carry it out. The Los Angeles Times is reporting that Brown's girlfriend, Rihanna, was the victim in the case, but police are not naming names.
Rihanna was the victim in the case, but police are not naming names.
Brown was released after posting $50,000 bail. Rihanna's publicist declined to say why the singer did not appear, saying only that she was well and expressing thanks for the concern. Brown's representatives also refused to discuss the allegations or his arrest. Meantime, Wrigley says it's suspending ad campaigns featuring Chris Brown as its spokesman for Doublemint Gum.
She was not the one to call. She was not the one to call.
She was not the one to call.
Rihanna. We got the picture of what Rihanna looked like right after the attack, and it is about as graphic as anything you've ever seen.
She's got two horn contusions. She's got a bloody lip. Her eyes are swollen. Her nose is swollen.
The last thing to say is the way we got this was 100% legal. I have to tell you, at least as we have this meeting, I certainly am not convinced that this is even an LAPD photo. I certainly am not convinced that this is even an LAPD photo.
I certainly am not convinced that this is even an LAPD photo.
The photo makes it real. I mean, now there's no dancing around it anymore. It's right there in your face, and if you don't have a stance on this now, that's beyond me.
shot. Reset.
Hey! What you got to say? Say, hey! What you got to say? Hollywood swinging. Hollywood swinging.
The Hollywood illusion. The world stage stretches far beyond the fairy tales in the land of Hollywood. Just like the Illuminati, Hollywood is merely just another distraction used to trick the masses into not noticing that the entire world is staged. Many platforms are used to cause chaos, confusion, and to provoke violence as well. Hollywood is used as a prop to sell an illusion that it's only broadcasted worldwide to millions for just the sake of entertainment, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that it's being used to shape culture, reveal future plans, and worship false gods. The masses also partake in these societal rituals as well, but not only is television, radio stations, politics, sports, etc. are heavily influential, but so are mass school shootings and some of the most tragic incidents. These scenarios are like Bible for the next shooter because he'll go on a rampage that will outdo and top the shooter who he inspired to be like, to be known and to make history. Crimes and murders are broadcasted on the news and now popular sites like the Shade Room and World Star Hip Hop, so that it furthers the domino effect of birthing more criminals. The higher-ups also chooses crisis actors who are celebrity look-alikes, with character name changes that are the same as other entertainers in the industry. This is done intentionally to mock the masses who are sucked so deep into the matrix that if you slap the truth in their faces they still wouldn't believe it. The elites also do this to keep balance in this world, to have someone agree and disagree. This is what sparked conspiracy theories out of the conscious/woke community. But celebrity look-alikes are also used to slowly desensitize the masses into a world of aliens and clones.
You not search lakes and stuff like that. It's a 3-year-old little boy. I'm not understanding any of this.
We are all being played. The elites have the entire population so dependent on them. You'll just complain but not fight the system because the higher-ups know that the masses are too lazy. They provide everything for them, and don't have to fend for themselves. People spend all day watching conspiracy videos instead of going out protesting and fighting for real change, which is why the so-called secret societies and conspiracy videos were deliberately spread all over YouTube and the internet so that you will be led on how far to go, so that you will never start an actual revolution yourself. We are all a part of the Illuminati. We are just born into it, whether we choose to believe it or not. Let me explain how. Since the day that you were born, you celebrated pagan holidays. Your birthday is a day of celebration. On your death date, you are mourned by many. YouTubers, social media influencers have hundreds upon thousands of followers that follow them daily. All of this is different forms of idol worship. What that Bible says is forbidden, but the elites have convinced us that it's not the same, but it has now been normalized to be a false god. Celebrities had set the stage first. The young Dolph staged murder was another pathway and angle set by the elites to lead the masses into calling for action to quote-unquote stop the senseless killings amongst blacks. The elites strategically created this pattern of rappers getting slain in their own city, which helps immortalize the character's story more because the same city that he was raised in, and the same community he did so much for. His own people betrayed him. It forces fans to feel emotionally disturbed, but it makes their puppet Lil Boosie appear as some prophet because of his famous hypnotized with hatred quote. Rappers and the black community are being used as a weapon to be the reason to end the gun violence. The trapper, street, dope boy wave, and drugged out culture is slowly being wiped out. We are now entering a new era, which is a world full of Lil Nas X's, the new world order, which is world peace. This is why the former NBA player Ron Artest adopted the name Meta World Peace, and like how Facebook now has the name Meta, we are transitioning into a one-world society. One gender and one religion feminize the majority of men, making them more emotional. Makes it much easier to control them. In addition to the staged mass shootings and the so-called senseless gun violence, this leads to the mainstream media news convincing the masses to call for an uprising, manipulate the sheep into willfully giving up their firearms. As of late, people have been tricked into rushing out to get guns as this sense of security, and was also influenced by rappers with guns in their videos. But this is all being done to set the stage to ostracize and reject people with guns, so that the masses can put their trust into the hands of robots to handle everything, just like technology has been doing. Young Dolph was allegedly killed inside of a cookie shop named Makitas. The higher-ups are known for staging sacrifices to pull the masses together as one, to worship and venerate the mother goddess on days that's encoded by the numbers. According to history, the name Makita derives from the goddess Queen of Sheba, which shows me that this is all drawn out by the elites. Makita is also a popular tool company that sell products inside of Home Depot. There was also a popular trans porn star by the name of Sheba, who also mysteriously died. The Baphomet is said to have breast and a third leg. Another eyebrow raiser, and something that I found very suspicious, was the fact that there was very little details, if any, released about young Dolph's gunshot wounds, and where on his body that he was shot. I am very interested in knowing that information, but the symbolism on the scene of this news report, at the location of young Dolph's shooting, I found it quite intriguing that the reporter stood in front of the Airways Hotel. Here is the definition of Airways. I also believe young Dolph's death was in some way a ritual to praise Adolf Hitler, hence young Dolph's real name, Adolf. Young Dolph's past shootings were setting the stage for his staged death. This is why he was allegedly shot at 100 times in a bulletproof Sprinter but fled the scene unscathed. Ironically, he then released an album right after the incident titled Bulletproof. He was then officially shot in Hollywood. I repeat, Hollywood, the acting capital. His entire career was scripted, and he was clearly in the possession of the occult. His staged beef with Yo Gotti was all a part of his King of Memphis storyline, a fake street movie that was like a battle of territory.
I went through the whole track listing in the rumor report, 100 shots in Charlotte, but I'm bulletproof.
I was like, that don't even sound real.
And I was like, no, this is really the track listing.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what I said.
All right.
I'm like, man, they don't even sound real.
We always joke about rap beef and rappers like, doing diss
Twitter
tracks
beef.
and all that. This is real beef, and unfortunately, it's turned into violence. We broke story that young Dolph was shot in Hollywood. Young Dolph was shot standing in one of the busiest in the heart of Hollywood, near the Hollywood and Highland intersection. That's where
kind of like our Times Square here.
where the Oscars have been for years. But he was in front of a shoe store there when he was shot multiple times. Was taken to a house, rushed to the hospital, had surgery. He's going to be okay. And Raquel, you actually sat down with young Dolph after that incident. Here's what he said about why he is beefing so hard with Yo Gotti.
Don't knock the next man for getting his money. Period. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like that. That's how I look at everything, point blank, period. Any man that hate on the next man for getting his money or being successful, doing anything, whatever, you a bitch. That's just point blank, period. I can't respect nobody for that, especially an older hating on a young that's from the same section, same city, same anything, and you hate, you know, you was a bitch. Nuh-uh.
So he's not mincing his words when it comes to Yo Gotti. They're both from Memphis. Interesting, he said that he's an old guy.
36.
He's only 4 years older.
I know, he's only
than
4
young
years
Dolph.
older, but
So-
I see, you know, we do see these things all the time, and it's just really scary because this doesn't look like it's going to end well.
In sports, trades, player movements such as free agency, draft picks, coaching hires, fights on the floor, historical moments, etc., are all scripted based upon manufactured storylines from the past or for a story that will be played out in the future. The elites already have stats, accolades, and the championship winners selected for the next 60 years and beyond. Superstar players' life outside of their profession is also performance arts theater as well.
My Kobe story is we were in the player lounge. There was a couple of us, and we were playing spades, and he kind of came in, and we were drinking a little wine, playing some spades, just chilling, and he came in, sat down, poured himself a glass, and he was kind of like reading a paper. So this is 2008, so they had just lost to the Celtics in the finals. And so he opens up the paper, and there's like this article about it, and there's a picture of Paul Pierce. So, and then we look over, and he's tearing out the picture of Paul Pierce. So he cuts it out, and he folds it up, he puts it in his pocket, and like we're all looking at him, you know, like what's going on? He's like, motivation. And then he proceeded to like chug his wine, pour another glass, chug it, pour the third, and he was like, basically like, he looks over and he's like, now I'm one ahead of you guys. We were like, okay.
So when I hear those stories about Kobe, and I hear them from so many people, I'm like, yo, was he really like, was some of it performance art? Performance art? Like some of it was like, I've gotta live up to this reputation. Like, who does that? Could he have not torn that piece of paper out in his own room?
Players are sworn to secrecy. Today's news anchors who have been fired from TV and now have internet podcasts are all industry plants. In television, sportscasters and analysts are told which topics to discuss and are also given teleprompters and scripts of what to say about any particular subject or players that the elites have for their grand plan. For instance, in 2016, Steph Curry played the lovable hero role and had to be the center of attention. Given a huge spotlight on him, media coverage 24/7, so that it would then set the stage for LeBron to defeat a team that eclipsed MJ record. Former TV, now internet podcasters are now ordered to reveal dark secrets about LeBron, as evil is being normalized. The little Boosie war against the LGBTQ is very much similar to the Dave Chappelle fiasco that transpired over a few months ago. We are now being ushered into a new society where homosexuality will be accepted fully and outwardly embraced. The elites use their puppets as poster boys to sell the illusion of fear and being bullied into accepting this homosexual culture. This is why when most men make their statements now, they have to make a disclaimer first, like, I'm not against gays but, etc. This is because subconsciously they've been sold this illusion that the LGBT will come after them. Men now also refer to transgenders as she or her instead of he, because of the social engineering of watching viral videos and seeing transgenders flip out over being referred to as he, and having men lose their jobs or being punished, in addition to seeing the entertainers who look and dress like them are punished for speaking out against the community for forcing a lifestyle onto the youth. They never grasp that all of these entertainers are controlled opposition. The leader of the community came to Dave Chappelle's defense and stated that he would not be canceled. Dave Chappelle not being canceled was just a warning to the masses that they must toe the line. This is all being done to instill fear into the subconscious mind. The public believe that it was their support that saved Dave Chappelle, but in all actuality, they defended him simply because the machine told them to, or otherwise, the very same media could have crucified Dave Chappelle, took his corporate sponsors and made the sheep turn on him, but they used reverse psychology and tricked the masses by having the LGBTQ support him to merge the two worlds. Little Boosie is a pawn of the elites, hailed as the voice for the voiceless of heterosexual men, but will eventually lead them astray. He can only lead them but so far because ultimately he is controlled by the system. He pretends to be against the higher-ups, but let's analyze the subliminal messaging in the artwork for a single that he put out going against the LGBTQ community. Little Boosie. Job is to bridge the gap between the two mindsets, which is why he's always at odds with Lil Nas X. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, Boosie is really gay. It's a divide and conquer tactic. If men who think, look and dress like Boosie, which are the street dudes, find common ground with the new world of Lil Nas X's, homosexuality will then be accepted without fear of being judged.
Nah, that's the TV playing that. Man, I ain't got nothing against that dude to where I hear his music and go run and turn it off. Y'all people lost, man. Man, y'all people lost, bro. I don't hate that dude.
This is all about leading men down the path to being with transgenders. Trans can now identify as women, and are becoming so identical to women, which then makes it hard for men to tell the difference.
Let me show you something real quick. This is a new model that's in Sports Illustrated. What do you think of her right here?
Nice.
Yeah? You digging that?
Nice.
Right. This right here is Valentina Sampio, who was the first transgender Sports Illustrated swimsuit model.
Oh my fucking god. Black, you dirty as fuck. She would have got me. She would have got me.
She would have got me.
She looked like a few chicks I didn't, dated. She looked like a few chicks I didn't date. Beautiful chick.
Hope the lights were on. Yeah, man.
The reason that it will be so hard for straight men to resist not being with transgenders is because majority of the female population, unrealistic expectations will go higher as we head towards the future. The old days are never coming back. It will be impossible for a man to satisfy her. She sees every man as her equal. Most women are being led to believe that men are their competition, but it's not. Women competition is now transgenders. Women used to could shame men for being gay, but once the elites fully make it embraced culturally, the transgenders will take all of their men. the elites are masters of deception and play tricks on the mind of the masses, but they can never connect the dots. If you notice, up on the Shade Room, they posted Meg Thee Stallion's photo. She was the first female rapper to cover an issue of Sports Illustrated, which was a joke within itself. But they posted her picture right before they posted a picture of a female that also made history as the first transgender to cover the Sports Illustrated as well. This was the occult hinting at the fact that Meg Thee Stallion is really a man, or just playing on the idea that she could really be a man. The science behind playing on the idea that Meg Thee Stallion could really be a man is almost like a mystery that no one can actually solve. They purposely did this to make men more intrigued than women to find out. Why? Because they know that men are secretly being programmed to be attracted to trans, so subconsciously it sparks intrigue, which you really don't know, which then spills over into culture. And if you can't tell the difference between if Meg Thee Stallion is a man or not, then you won't be able to tell the difference in the average trans walking around. Ever since birth, the masses have been programmed to be ignorant. Being ignorant keeps people dumbed down, which then makes it easier to always control them. The newer generation are coming to realize that they have all been sold a fantasy, the very same things that we glorify in cultures such as killing, having multiple sex partners, etc., which the Bible forbids. Do you really believe God will forgive a killer with 5 bodies, but will then turn away a gay man in heaven? We've all been lied to, but the lie is more entertaining.
5 alleged gang members are now charged with the murder of Chicago rapper FBG Duck.
5 members of the O Block Street Gang, a faction of the Black Disciples, arrested and federally charged with committing murder in aid of racketeering. Charles Liggins, Kenneth Robertson, Carlos Alford, Christopher Thomas, and Marcus Smart.
The Boston Celtics guard number 36, Marcus Smart.
My mom was supposed to come pick me up that night. She never arrived. Neighbors said they heard voices raised in the jealous rage. Soon after that, the dogs were heard barking. And after that, the flames were seen coming from the window.
Okay, remember last week we talked about 50 Cent's multi-million-dollar house burning down, right? Yeah. His 10-year-old son, along with his ex, Shaniqua Tompkins, was in the house. And now Shaniqua is saying that 50 Cent is in fact the person that she believes burnt down the house.
Right. What do you think happened? Mr. Jackson business. You did think so? Yes, I know so. Why did he say that? He threatened me on Monday. He did? He threatened me. Look, watch what I'll do. I'll have someone come kill you. He threatened me. He threatened me on Monday, and this is what he did. How long were you two together? We were together for 13 years. The relation just ended over a year ago. He cannot accept that I have moved on with my life. He felt like he's going to strip me of everything. And I didn't allow it. I fought back, and this is what he's trying to do. He tried to kill me and his own child. Why do you know that? He threatened me. He told me he would. He told me he would have someone come do something to me. He told me he would say, watch what I do. I have someone come kill you, and that's what he did. That's what he did. I know he did. It's not a doubt in my mind on my son's life. I know he did. What happened? I know he did. Someone threw something through the window and the house was ignited. Couldn't even make it downstairs. We had to jump out the window. Do you think he hired someone to do Yes, this? of course. I know he's too much of a coward to do anything himself.
You're blaming 50 Cent for this?
Yes, yes.
Gakira Barnes was born into the south side of Chicago in 1997. She gained the nickname K.I., or Snoop, which was a reference to Snoop from the TV show The Wire. Word on the street spread fast, and K.I. was seen on social media with what looked like Odie Perry's gun, proving she had caught the body. O-Block quickly got word about who was behind this, and its members were all looking for K.I. and Bostro. King Von was one of the people taking interest in getting revenge for O-Block. Von, who was 17 at the time, was in and out of prison, and was suspected to have a few bodies already. The first interaction K.I. and King Von would have was on a train, where Von and other O-Block members jumped and stomped her out. King Von would write K.I. on Twitter, taunting and flirting with her at the same time. He enjoyed messing with her head, telling her that he liked her and wanted her for real. Sometimes they would argue, dissing each other's dead homies, and other times they acted like friends. She gained the nickname K.I., or Snoop, which was a reference to Snoop from the TV show The Wire. She gained the nickname K.I., or Snoop, which was a reference to Snoop from the TV show The Wire.
She gained the nickname K.I., or Snoop, which was a reference to Snoop from the TV show The Wire.
This is... What is real? How do you define real? This is the world that you live in. The world as it was at the end of the 20th century. It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation.
We are laying the smackdown on politics. Meet Glenn Jacobs, who ran on the Republican ticket and was just elected as the next mayor of Tennessee's third largest county. He is 51, married, and a father and a grandfather of 2. But you might know him better as this guy, the WWE superstar wrestler known as Kane. He is almost 7 feet tall, 300 pounds, and his character is described as a, quote, monstrous abomination on the WWE website. He is a fan favorite, and it appears he has won the hearts of many Tennessee voters as well, beating his Democratic opponent in a landslide on Thursday. Joining me now, Knox County Mayor-elect Glenn Jacobs. Mayor-elect, congratulations.
You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today.
And this is why the greatest show on earth will never end.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Yo, Haitian, go crazy with it.
Hey, yo, wait, where you at, nigga?